Hey YouTube, my name is Roland and today I'm going to be pruning my grapes. I planted these grapes about 3 years ago and they've gotten a bit bigger the past couple years. It's the 30th of March and these have finally started to bud, so I'm going to be trimming off all of the branches from last year and we're going to be hopefully sprouting these clippings to start more grapes with. These are Concord grapes, Concord seedless purple grapes. You can see the main part of the grape plant right here. I'm going to leave this one intact and then do some of these smaller ones coming off of it, and hopefully I'll be able to turn these into some starts. I've tried to make grape starts before, but I was unsuccessful at it. One of my neighbors has shown me a bit with his grapes, and so I'm going to try a bit more of his technique. I'm going to clip the bottom of this flat and then put it in a bucket of water. You can see that the sap has really started to run through this. It's just constantly dripping, which is pretty cool. Doesn't taste like much of anything. Tastes like water. I'm going to clip about 5 or 6 buds into each of these starts. This one's going to be pretty short, but I think that'll be okay. I'm going to clip the top of this at an angle to avoid getting it confused with the bottom. This is also dripping instantly, which is pretty cool. This one's pretty short, so I'm going to give it a bit more room, even though I probably could do it shorter. I let most of these grow pretty wild and didn't really trim them back at all, but I'm going to be changing that up this year. Don't really want this to come out this direction, obviously away from the fence, so I'm going to be clipping a lot of these even larger ones back. Got this interesting V here, or this Y, this V. I'm not sure if this will take or not, but it'll be a fun little experiment. Maybe sure to trim off all these extra little branches on here. Keep them nice and straight if I can. You know what, I'm going to leave this one and just keep it trimmed. But this has got some pretty good sun exposure, so I'm going to leave this one here just for some leaves. I think this one's long enough that I should be able to easily turn this into 2, so I'm going to go ahead and try to do that. As many of you may have noticed, these grape plants are far too close together, but when I planted these, I didn't know how far apart how large they would grow. So I put them together for a little bit of concentration so I could put in more grapes, but hindsight's 20/20 and I wish I hadn't done that. You can really see that a lot of these grapes have just no sculpting and are just been growing pretty wild. But I did get an okay yield last year before the hornets got to it. Somehow hornets got the bright idea to eat my grapes before I'd managed to wait for the first frost to harvest them. That was a pretty traumatic experience. Pull it off. Trim some of these off. These extra ones. No idea if these tiny little ones will start at all, but I'm betting not. We can try though. We've all massacred these. grapes here. But that's good. Grow them in the right direction this year. I think that'll be okay. Oh, I'm going to clip this little V off of there. I have a feeling that's going to mess with it, so I'm going to clip it underneath there. And again, you know, I'm no expert at this, so if you have your own grapes and see me doing some stuff wrong, please comment, let me know. With this one, I noticed that this was green, but there was some brown coming out of here. So I clipped this off, and sure enough, inside it's completely dead. So I'm glad I clipped this off instead of this part that's obviously growing. This guy's kind of coming out. Let's stop that. It gets too far out. Useless. I think I'll leave this guy just because it's got kind of a good shape to it, and I think it'll provide nice sunlight. With this guy, definitely keep going that direction. It's got all room to expand over there. This one's probably going to be okay. It's down low, but it's going further. And it doesn't really seem to be competing with anything in this direction. So I think when the sunlight's shining over here, it's going to have leaves like this, and it won't be covered up. So I think that'll be perfectly acceptable. So I've got this vine that's coming all the way up here, and it curves up, goes up and through, and then all the way over to here. So that's kind of the problem that I had last time. This vine is from the left plant, which is consuming some of the right plant's space. So I'm going to clip this guy off and turn this into some starts. Alright, there's the end of that one. The wasted space. Just got so many of these that are just taking up each other's spaces. I really wish I'd done a better job at pruning these, but didn't know what I know now. I've just got so many of these that are headed the wrong direction. So off of the left grape plant here, I've got two large vines coming off that are going to the right and then up. And I'm debating on whether or not to clip these, and I'm fairly certain I'm going to clip these off. Just force it to use its leftmost two branches and or vines and really use those. I mean, those are much larger than these ones are, but this one is fairly thick. So I'm hoping that doesn't damage the plant at all. I'm worried about cutting too much lower than here because this is so thick I'd have to use a saw, and I'm not sure how much that will damage the plant. So this has got a much more defined shape with this main guy coming up here, splitting off. I'm going to make sure it doesn't go too much further this direction, but I do want it to keep going that direction. And these plants are now completely separated down the middle, which they've been very intertwined, and I didn't like that. And I'm going to clean this fence up a little bit, get all these old pieces off of here. And hopefully I didn't trim these too much, but I think they're going to be just great. These have already proven to be pretty robust plants. So when I first got these plants, they were bending over pretty badly, so I got these cages to put around them to keep them up, because they had these long branches that just weren't quite enough to make it to the fence, but were enough that they were going off. So I used these to keep them still, but I think I'm going to try to... This doesn't seem to be attached anymore, at least from everything I've removed. So I'm going to go ahead and clip this off, and hopefully with my Leatherman here I'll be able to cut this off. Okay, there's one opening. I'm gonna have to clip up a bit more, I think. Leatherman's still intact. That's why you pay big money for Leatherman. Works great. Probably even when it's not supposed to. So this is probably still plenty usable for a small plant that isn't going to put too much weight on it. Oh, woo! Oh, there we go. Trying to visualize how I can remove this. I think I'm going to have to clip this guy down here too. I think we're going to just do this last one. I'll be able to just simply pull it away. I think so. So this side's still got quite a bit of these tiny little guys left, so I'm going to clip these off. I'm going to leave this guy here and try to convince this guy to use it as its main branch. So I'm going to clip this off just to encourage it to kind of leave this alone and use it purely for grip, because I don't want to put all the strain right here. But I do want to encourage this side to go up over here. I clip off this guy, because I don't think I want to have this become a main branch, this one right here. I think I'm going to trim this guy off because I do not want it just going up like this. There's really nowhere for it to go, except I want little branches. If this is just too big, that guy can come out and get some sunlight. Definitely don't want it headed that direction. I had to clip this little guy off right here to allow it to grow some leaves, but to discourage it from doing any long branches. Leave this guy because it's trimmed, and I don't think it's going to go up much more than that, if at all. Alright YouTube, well, I finished pruning these grapes. This is the first time I've pruned them, as you probably noticed with how wild they were growing. I got a whole bucket full of these clippings, which are soaking in about 2 inches of water. Tomorrow I might plant these in the ground and do another video on that. Thanks for watching, and I really love grapes, and I'm really excited to see these again this year. Alright YouTube, well, thank you for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe.